they are called the middlemen, right?
Right.
And whether their role in the supply chain or not, the direct trade versus just avoiding all these steps between the farmer and the consumer, but they are needed.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 1 of a brand new series on the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward. For the first time on the podcast, I am joined by Belen Rivadeniera. Yes, we practiced, folks. We practiced. Um, so, Belen, welcome to the podcast for the very first time. It's an honor to have you.
I appreciate the time and especially that you're open to bring out these issues that could be affecting the coffee supply chain. And I'm always welcome the opportunity to just learn from you as well, Lee.
Oh,
So thank you for
folks,
having me.
thank you for saying that, Belen. But folks, you're going to laugh when you hear that there's the opportunity of me learning from Belen in this conversation about this specific subject. It's I I am going to be learning everything I possibly can from this conversation, and I hope that you do too. Um, Belen is going to be doing so much teaching for us right now. Why? Because this conversation, the theme of this whole series is the power of green coffee buyers and traders on the economic sustainability of the supply chain. This is a huge, huge topic and very, very relevant right now, given the collapse of a number of major traders over the past recent times, let's just say that. And so we want to understand the impact that these traders and buyers have on the economic sustainability of things. So, in this first episode of the series, Belen, I'm going to get you to start by telling us like who you are and what you do, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at defining in this episode what the role of green coffee buyers and traders is in the supply chain. So, Belen, over to you.
When people ask me about my job, it it's always the beginning of a conversation, Lee. It's
Uh huh.
simple. I connect coffee roasters with coffee growers across the world and support food and beverage companies' responsible sourcing strategies. And I've been doing this for the last 15 years. And my passion for the specialty food industry continues to grow. But
But
my true my true interest lies in addressing on ongoing economic sustainability challenges our industry faces.
mm,
I was born and raised in Ecuador, and I'm based in Florida, USA.
mhm. Yeah, awesome. And where are you working these days? What are you doing these days?
You're right. So now I'm agribusiness consultant
Mhm.
working specifically in the cocoa sector in Ecuador, and in specialty coffee. I'm certification and market access consultant at Vuna Origin Consulting.
Mhm. And we had Sara from Vuna on the podcast recently. So people know about Vuna. And just to make sure everybody knows, Vuna is not a sponsor of this podcast. We do not have Belen on the podcast because of any relationship between Vuna and Mapper Forward. The reason that we want to have this conversation is because if you tuned into our last series, you know that Martin Mayorga and I had a conversation about the serious situation that exists in the supply chain at the moment and the challenges that producers are facing. That's not really very different than they have in previous years. However, this is starting to come to a head. And the cans that we've been kicking down the road over the last couple of decades, the road's running out. And so Belen is here to help us understand how some of this stuff happened, and we're going to start that conversation with understanding what the role of green coffee buyers and traders is in the supply chain. So maybe you can start by telling us, like, what's the difference between green coffee buyers and green coffee traders, if there is any?
Sure, there is actually. So what is exactly a green coffee buyer? So these people are responsible for the coffee we enjoy every day, of course, and their role could be different from one company to another, but their work impacts the coffee that is roasted and requires a serious commitment with coffee farmers. It's kind of a globe-trotting position, which is really awesome. But and most of these coffee professionals that I had the pleasure to interact over the years spend a lot of time on nerd stuff, forecasting, managing inventory, storing traceability information, and geeking out about supply chains.
Hmm.
Every green coffee buyer, whether they love it or hate it, knows the value of databases,
Yeah.
CRM systems, and probably spends a lot of time putting them together.
Yep.
So having a smart, sustainable business is what makes it possible for them to make long-term partnerships with farmers and ultimately pay more for good coffee.
Folks, our first on demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant, is now available for you to learn at your own pace, and it comes with a certificate upon completion. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for more details. Support this podcast by supporting our sponsors.
Where the trader or importer, they have become more of a green coffee consultant. Their main role is to provide context, right?
Yeah.
In the age of limitless information, what is required is someone who can help roasters sort out the important pieces, the one that will matter the most to each individual roaster and their brand and their value proposition. So a good trader can act as a bridge between roasters' point of view on coffee and the coffee itself. It is not just discussing the merit of different coffees,
Mhm.
but also providing a background on the strengths and weakness of processing types, countries, regions, individual producers, and seasons, and their role on the availability of coffee. They also provide insights on how a roaster's pricing and purchasing decisions might affect quality, availability, and the ability to buy more coffee from these specific producers.
Mhm.
So the right trader, the right importer can provide clarity on what decisions need to be made and thus um, free up the buyer's time to focus on the things that matter to the business, which
Mhm.
is inventory control, cash flow, quality assurance, and also training. So it's different, and we really need to value and differentiate this role and have and trust them because they are a key players in the supply chain.
Mhm. And there's been a lot of they get a bad rap a lot of the time, right? Um, Not for no reason, but like with everything, just like there's great podcasters and really shitty podcasters, there's good baristas and there's really shitty baristas. There's good traders, there's shitty traders. There's good green coffee buyers and there's shitty green coffee buyers. And so we never want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and just generalize and say all green coffee traders are terrible and you know, all of nothing is terrible. But clearly there is something going on because the supply chain is broken. The supply chain isn't working as well as it should be working. And we've got some problems that have been brewing for a long time. Help us understand the impact of green coffee buyers and green coffee traders, because it sounds like from what you're saying, they are interlinked, they're interrelational in the role that they play in the supply chain.
Right.
How are they impacting the economics of the supply chain and particularly sustainability of that economics?
They are called the middleman, right?
Right.
And whether their role in the supply chain or not, the direct trade versus just avoiding all these steps between the farmer and the consumer, but they are needed. So, and today, I really want to bring this a pressing issue with within the coffee trade.
Hmm.
The concerning trend of specifically quality certified coffee being
Okay.
sold below standard prices in dubious transactions.
Right.
This phenomenon often occurs when certified or specialty coffees bundle into mixed contracts alongside with conventional coffee, forming what it is commonly referred as a combo. But let me get again and answer your questions about the economic role of these
Hmm.
two actors in the supply chain.
Hmm.
Um, Specifically, I remember the coffee price crisis back in 2019,
Hmm.
when I had the pleasure of participating with the Specialty Coffee Association. It was a panel, and the discussion centered on the following question: what is the role of coffee roasters in the industry's response to the coffee prices?
Okay.
And at the end, small and big companies agreed that they should continue being more transparent about prices with each other and towards consumers, so that they understand the price structure behind their cup of coffee. However, small roasters are in competition with big roasting companies. Traders are stepping into some roasters and brokers' responsibilities, and and mm, the question is who can afford to buy more volume and maybe push prices down. So that is the key issue right now. And and this transcends to wholesalers who are also running their businesses on a tight budget. And at some point they will find it easy to choose a cheaper coffee from a big roasting company, from a multinational, a huge trader, rather than from um, have a close partnership with their suppliers at origin.
Hmm.
But this is how the market works and how we can change it. So maybe small micro roasters with retail operations can start by taking the opportunity to engage in a dialogue with their customers, share stories from farmers, and explain the price structure behind the coffee. And I'm sure that many of your listeners,
Hmm.
Lee, are already doing this, and we should just bring that spirit up. But I believe that the biggest worry for coffee roasters when it comes to the future of coffee prices is that it's becoming increasingly harder for micro roasters to access to micro lots from small producers. And they also worry about farmers' ability to invest in their farms' infrastructure and the domino effect that is can have on the environment and the quality of relationships across the value chain. I'm personally concerned about the fact that the coffee is still widely seen as a commodity taken for granted, and the fact that coffee is really available in offices, in warehouses,
Hmm.
and with no respect at all. Um, so they have a huge role and responsibility in the economics of the supply chain.
In there's a lot that you said there, but when it comes to what it sounds like you're saying is that the role that they play is because that they're the middleman, they're also the bridge between the producing end of the market and the consuming end of
Mhm.
the market. And the decisions that they make are really pivotal to the decisions that roasters are going to make based on what they end up roasting, how they end up taking that to market, and who the marketing team at the roasting company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it sounds like what you're saying is that by the time that it ends up at the roasting company, whatever they decide that they can do with regards to presenting that coffee to the market, the best platform that they have to start with is the job that has been done by the people who came before them.
Correct.
So if the green coffee buyer and the trader do a shitty job at buying coffee and bringing it and taking it from its origin company into the country that it's going to be consumed in, then the way that coffee is going to be treated the rest of the way, the supply chain, that's the starting point. Is that correct?
It is correct. So responsible coffee sourcing should be practiced on every single um, step in the supply chain, and they have a huge role. I mean,
Okay.
uh, whose fault is that? I mean, for this price crisis, it's everybody's.
Right.
Whoever makes the purchase decision, maybe except for the consumer, but every single step in the supply chain has a responsibility. And now, at some point, we're talking about living income for producers. So that is the responsibility, to just understanding maybe the economics of each actor. Everybody has their profits and their costs, so they all need to be respected, and everybody has a take. I mean,
Yeah.
so all of these people in the coffee professionals are running a business, um, so they need to make responsible decisions in purchasing.
This sets us up for our next episode really, really well. And in the next episode, friends, we're going to talk about the impact that buyers and traders have on the price of coffee. So join us for that. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.